Oh, hey, it's Dr. Joe from Atlanta. Welcome. Hopefully you're having a nice weekend. Happy Saturday. And some of you might be watching some football. I know there's been some games that have been canceled. So, beautiful fall day here in Atlanta. I hope the rest of the country is having pretty decent weather. Some of you might actually be already knee deep in snow. And I'm coming on a little earlier because I want to watch a game later on tonight that might actually be played in at least rain, maybe freezing rain, and maybe in snow up in Virginia. So, all right. So today's topic, and again, welcome to my YouTube channel, 2YourWellness4Life. Been doing this for a couple of weeks where we discuss all 9 pillars of wellness, and you see them on the screen behind me. And wellness is really a state of being, and health, good health, is actually just one component of that, and that's a state of body. And so today's topic fits in really nicely with that, and we're going to be talking about limiting beliefs. And don't let limiting beliefs derail you, or have you had some limiting beliefs that have derailed you? Excuse me. So I was going to talk about something else, but this afternoon I actually was watching about a 5-hour, it was called the Brainathon, done by John Assaraf, who has written several books, and he's actually the founder of Innercise, where you basically, instead of exercise, you innercise your brain. And he's the founder and the CEO of something called Neuro Gym. So you're exercising your brain instead of exercising, or you're exercising the muscle in your brain instead of the muscles in your arms and legs. And actually, early in this year, I took a course by someone called David Bayer, and he's kind of the founder of Mindset. And I actually discovered a couple of limiting beliefs of mine that you would think on the outside, how would this guy have any limiting beliefs? Became a doctor and pretty successful. I mean, what's the deal there? And actually, I've identified 2 of them. One is one I will discuss here, and one I'll save for later. Now, of course, I had to do some more reading. I took some notes from John Assaraf this afternoon. And, everybody's talking about mindset now. Mindset this, mindset that. Is that what's keeping you from reaching your full potential? And so let me tell you a story. When I was about 10 years old, I was already interested in medicine. My mom was kind of pushing me that way. And I'd gotten about, 10 catalogs from different universities around the country. And my family was visiting a friend of my dad's who was a physician, was an anesthesiologist up in the Seattle area. We were visiting this family. And I had all these catalogs out, and I was just kind of, thumbing through that. And yeah, that sounds like a kind of a weird kid, 10 years old, looking through stuff like that. Anyway, the guy's wife came up to me and he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just thumbing through these catalogs. I want to see what kind of a grade point average you need to go become a doctor, and what kind of MCAT scores you need. And she looked at me and she said, don't bother. You'll never get in. You'll never become a doctor. It's too hard. It's too hard, and you're probably not smart enough. And and that kind of got into my head, believe it or not. And if you tell that to a 10-year-old, my path to medicine could have been much more direct, much straighter than what it ultimately became. I went through accounting and then business and then chemistry before I actually went to medical school. And so that was a limiting belief that was, just I realized kept coming back into my head. And, you can't do this. You're not smart enough. Don't bother. But then I showed her, and I actually did it, and the rest is history. All right. So I did some research, and actually this afternoon I pulled an article by Pia Peck, and she's the CEO of Curate Well. And she's a blogger, and she wrote a very interesting piece on limiting beliefs. And her expertise is in connecting the big picture vision with the nitty-gritty details in order to create an instinctual strategy, systems, and steps. She helps her clients and community organize, implement, and execute. That's Pia, P-I-A, Beck, B-E-C-K. And anyway, she discussed this, and she had 5 steps in how to cultivate or work through your limiting beliefs. Now, let me back up a little bit. A lot of these limiting beliefs originate in childhood. And obviously, I was 10 years old when I had one of mine served up to me. And unfortunately, some of these end up being um, abusive, physical or verbal abuse from parents, step parents, other family members, other individuals, and it can be classmates, it can be bullying, it can be all that kind of stuff. And that's usually where this kind of originates. And I'm willing to bet that everybody, I don't think I've ever run into someone who I would think that has like zero limiting beliefs. Some of them may be kind of minor, but it's amazing, having been a physician for 35 years, I kind of like to get to know my patients. And, over the years, you kind of get to know them pretty well. And you can discover several kind of limiting beliefs. And um, you might be able to work through it yourself, and I'll give you a few pointers here, or you might actually need to get professional help. Sometimes people do need some counseling for some things that are very significant that happen as a child, especially with kind of physical abuse. Anyway, according to Pia Peck, there's 5 steps that you need to kind of go through if you're going to work through this yourself. And the step 1 is to find the source of the belief. And you may want to write it down, find the source of the belief. And once you've identified the limiting belief, reflect on the original source, where the instance where the belief was formed. And you want to recall this event in as much detail as you can. Might be kind of painful. And once you can remember the event fully, identify what things about your recollection of this event are a fact with evidence and which parts are a story that you created. Step number 2, now think about how that belief has shown up throughout your entire life. How has it impacted your decisions? For me, when I was told, you couldn't be a doctor, you're not smart enough, it's too hard. I watched my husband go through it. That lady that told me that, and when I was 10 years old in Seattle, it impacted my path to medicine. And so it certainly impacted my decisions because it got into my head. So how has it affected your career choices? Immensely. And relationships? Absolutely. And what were the consequences of that belief? What has it cost you? Actually, I was an accounting major for 3 years, and I changed my major, and it extended my undergrad by another year. So my dad had to pay for another year. So it cost me in tuition another year, and I was going to a fairly expensive school. So it cost my dad money. And what are the benefits of the belief? Ways the belief protected you or made you feel safe, which made you want to keep it around. So number 3, then you need to acknowledge the belief for how it has served you. You adopted this belief because it kept you safe in some capacity. How did it serve you? What did the belief make possible? How did it make you who you are today? And number 4, then you want to release the belief. Release the belief. One of the most freeing things you could do for yourself is to acknowledge that your belief isn't true. It feels true, sure, but it's not who you are by definition. And so you want to try shifting your language from limiting belief to it's a false belief. And you don't need to give up this belief entirely right away. It may take a while. And so try giving it up for a few minutes initially, and then for an hour, and then maybe longer, depending on what the limiting belief is. And then finally, step number 5, you want to rewrite your belief system. And so if your limiting belief is I'm not smart enough to go to medical school like it was for me, rewrite the belief to I have inherent unique knowledge and abilities to get to medical school or law school or finish the engineering program, or to go become a cosmetologist or an esthetician, or whatever it is. I would become an electrician or a plumber. Um, all those things are professions that we need in our community, obviously. All right, so that was 5 steps in how to work through your limiting beliefs. If you feel like you can do this on your own, don't let these limiting beliefs keep you from your true potential. And I actually have another source from a PhD. His name is Dr. Matt James, and he has his 4 steps to release limiting beliefs learned from childhood. So if you want that source, you want that link, and from Pia Peck, just send me a comment or message me. I'll be happy to send that to you. And remember, once you kind of work through your limiting beliefs, you want to commit to whatever goal that you set. You want to commit to it, and when you commit to it, 100%, then nothing else will become a distraction. You'll have no distractions. So commit to it, stay consistent with it, and don't quit. So on that note, I wish you a wonderful Saturday evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow. God bless.